Encounter with the victim. Alright, so we just got inside the gaff and heaved a sigh of relief when the geezer showed his mark. Give me that gun, he bellowed, and then he flew at us like he was possessed. I thought we had it. Oh, okay. For an old geezer, the blow was strong as an ox. He chucked me over the counter. I put my gun on him, and then he laid it through the door into the back room. We never had nothing to do with killing him. That's what happened, I swear. Oh, okay. So you're now telling us that moments before the victim was killed in the storeroom, you in fact encountered him in the main part of the shop? Well, yeah, sorry. Well, we find ourselves at an interesting juncture. This changes matters considerably. But honest, Governor, this time, Nash, this time, we ain't got nothing more to hide. Are you sure? Let's see. Very well. Counsel for the defense, you may proceed with your cross-examination. Yes, my lord. This is it. The moment I've been waiting for. Okay, let's see. Encounter with the victim. We just got inside the shop and heaved a sigh of relief when the geezer showed his face. When you say geezer, I presume you mean the victim and proprietor of the shop, Mr. Windybank? Who else? Sorry, I mean, that's right. We was keeping a close eye on the entrance of the gaff, obviously. But we never thought no one was gonna come out of the back room like that. The back room being the pawnbrokery storeroom? Yeah, that must be where he popped up from. Only place he could have been. So it would seem the victim was already in the storeroom when these brothers entered the premises. Which means Ginny must have been there in that point as well. Yes, that's true. So she would have been already inside the storeroom. But that doesn't make sense, does it? If Gina had threatened Mr. Windybank into the storeroom with her at gunpoint, then why would he have emerged from the same room all alone when the brothers arrived? Who knows? It's a tricky situation, right? Oh, I don't know. Do you see the accused at the time? What, that mole tula? Couldn't tell ya. No way, Cobber. We had bigger fish to fry then. I mean, the old geezer just lost it. Okay. Give me that gun, he bellowed, and then he flew at us like he was possessed. Okay. You mentioned that Mr. Windybank shouted those words in your previous testimony too. However, you claim that you heard him yelling them on the other side of the storm door. Oh, did we? But the truth is, he was shouting those words at you, wasn't he? Well, yeah. Wow, these guys. Was the victim Mr. Windybank wielding a gun at the time? Was he ever, blimey lummy, a great ugly barrel yet pointed straight at me frontispiece? So he was holding the gun at that point of time. Then, why would Gino not just come out if that's the case? Okay. So what you're saying is, you definitely saw Mr. Windybank with the gun at that time, is that right? It is, Gav, it is. Spot on. Then all of a sudden, he came at us, he did. It was bedlam. I didn't know who was going for who. You were clearly all going for each other, oh my god. So they ended up fighting each other as well? Like Nash said, we thought we had it. I mean... Okay... For an old geezer, the bloke was strong as an ox. He chucked me over the counter. Yes, I noted that you mentioned a counter in your previous testimony too. Well, yeah, cause we did. He knocked over a load of books, a candlestick, and some skull whatnot. They got tangled up in some marionette, while knocked over a picture frame, while knocked them scales on the floor. So in fact, it wasn't the sound of the gunshot that shocked you and made you knock those things off the counter? Well, big bruv here went flying over the counter like a gunshot, I can tell you. Then the old geezer pinned him. He did, Nash, he did. If he hadn't been there, the bloke would have flattened me like a blooming pancake in seconds. At the time in question, the alarm was raised at the local police station via a secret cable from the pawnbrokery. There is a button under the counter used to activate it, which was presumably pressed by the victim. That's right, when the brothers fled the scene and back onto the street, they ran straight into the arriving police, didn't they? Yes, they did. So he already activated it at that point of time. Oh, Mr. Winnibang, he did everything he could to protect his shop. Yeah. I pulled my gun on him and then he legged it for that door into the back room. Okay. Were you intending to shoot Mr. Winnibang? Nah, never. I was just, you know, looking out for me bruv, weren't I? He was being flattened, don't forget. Well, okay, yes. By a man whose shop was being burgled, yes. Of course, right, he's trying to defend himself, jeez. And then, the man fled into the storeroom when you pointed your gun at him, is that it? Yeah, that's it. He shot me away, then ran off through that door and shut himself in. There's something about that last remark. Something that doesn't quite ring true. I wonder why Mr. Winnibang ran away into the storeroom. He has his gun as well, right? Why doesn't he just defend himself? What? Well, according to what everyone's saying, Ginny was in there waiting for him with a gun. Ah, yes, that's right. Gina allegedly used Mr. Winnibang's gun to threaten him and force him to open the storeroom door. In which case, how did the gun end up in Mr. Winnibang's hands again? Unless Winnibang managed to knock Gina out. And that's why he thought that it was safe there, I wonder. I have no idea, but that is strange, isn't it? This little inconsistency could be significant. I should make a mental note of it. Look, the point is, me and me bruv here. That's right, Nash, that's right. Me and me bruv here. We never had nothing to do with killing him. That's all that happened, I swear. You say you had nothing to do with it? Nothing at all. Nothing, Guff, nothing. That old geezer went and shot himself in the back room, didn't he? Locked it was from the inside. We know it was because we tried to open it. But it's a decent door, that one, good and strong, wouldn't budge an inch. So in the end, the situation remains unchanged. Inside the storeroom with the pawnbroker, there was only one other person. The sole person who could possibly have shot the victim, the accused, Miss Gina Lestrade. It would indeed appear so. This is strange. What say you to that, counsel? I don't know. Was there anyone else apart from Gina who could possibly have shot Mr. Winnibang? Anyone else apart from Gina? I mean, personally, I would think that it is possible, just because if it doesn't make sense for him to want to go back to a place where Gina was holding the gun, and the gun keeps changing hands, right? So if now he's holding the gun, then Gina shouldn't have the gun, isn't it? This entire thing feels weird. Yes. Mr. and Mr. Skulkin. What? What's that look for? From the moment you admitted that you'd encountered the victim face to face that night, the course of this trial changed completely. It did? What is your point, my learned friend? The question we must answer is who could have shot Mr. Windybank? And it is the belief of the defense that the defendant is not the only possible answer at all. Ooh. You have my attention? In that case, let us return to this plan of the premises. The victim was killed in a storeroom which was locked from the inside. Those are the facts, so pray, what other possible answer to the question of who shot the man could there be? Counsel, you must now provide answers to the court in respect of 2 conundrums. 2? My lord? Twice as many chances to be right, maybe? Oh god, I hope I can get this right. Indeed, namely, from what location did the culprit shoot the victim? And furthermore, where was the victim at the time? Okay. Understood, my lord. Are you alright, Runo? I'm not entirely sure, but there's one thing I'm sure about. If I can prove that there's a credible new alternative to what happened, it would change Gina's prospects hugely. Okay. So now, time for some clarity. Show the court on this plan the answers to the questions posed by his lordship. If you believe someone else could have killed the victim, indicate from where that person could have fired the gun. From where he could have fired the gun? From outside, isn't it? Outside in. Here. I think. The defense believes that the culprit could have shot the victim from the location here. And in answer to the second question, assuming the culprit fired from the location indicated, where was the victim at the time? Okay. I would guess it's here? Right? That means he was already hiding inside. Maybe his back was turned right as he locked the door to hide. And then someone fired at him from here. That's my guess. Is that possible? The culprit shot the victim from outside the storeroom. Continue. Mr. Windybank died instantly from a bullet wound in his back. Right? Looking at the stain of blood on the storeroom floor, it doesn't appear that the body was moved after death, which tells us that he was almost certainly shot while he was in the storeroom. However, the crucial point is, where was the shooter when the fatal bullet was fired? So you're adamant that the shot was fired from outside the storeroom? I mean, at this point of time, if it's a locked room in that case and Gina is the only person inside, I don't really think there's anywhere else except for from outside to inside. So yeah. Well, according to the Skulking brothers' earlier testimony, I put my gun on him and then he legged it through the door into the back room. Yes, that's what happened. If Mr. Windybank ran away through the door, the back would be facing him, right? We have to assume that the door was open at the time. Oh! It was at precisely that moment when the victim was fleeing for his life that these brothers had the perfect opportunity to shoot the man in the back once he was inside the storeroom. How did the storeroom get locked then, if that's the case? Come to think of it, do you remember what the prosecutor said at the start of the trial? Moving on to the findings of Scotland Yard's coroner. His report states that the bullet entered the body on a rising diagonal trajectory. Rising diagonal trajectory. Oh, which means that it's the shot guy that fired the shot, isn't it? Or someone that's very down low. It means the victim was likely shot by someone significantly shorter in height than himself. Uh-oh.
Oh man, Shawai was running as fast as he could to safety.
Ah, of course! He would have been leaning forward as he was running away. So even if the bullet was fired horizontally, it would still have entered his body on an upward trajectory. Ah, okay, that makes sense.
So the culprit isn't necessarily someone shorter than Mr. Windy Bang.
Yes, true. If that's the case, then not necessarily. I'm sure my learned friend can't have forgotten that the storeroom door was found closed and locked from the inside. You claim the victim was shot as he fled into the room. Do you also claim his corpse was dexterous enough to turn the key in the lock? Yeah, that's the part that's gonna be tricky now, right?
Ah, but...
What if someone else locked the door? Yes, there is someone else who could have locked the storeroom door. Is that so? Who? Very well then, counsel. Present your hypothesis to the court. In the scenario just described, the defense's assertion is that the victim was shot from outside the storeroom. In which case, who shut and locked the storeroom door from the inside? It can only be Gina, and if I had to guess, they're gonna say something like, oh, she saw him running in, and then she heard the gunshot, she feared for both of their lives, so she faster just locked the door. Possibly? I don't know. But she's the only person inside, right? So she can be the only one. Obviously, the person who locked the door was the only other person inside the storeroom at the time. The defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade. That's absurd. You're suggesting that the accused deliberately engineered the sealed room? Which is weird as well. If that's the case, who knocked her out? For what possible reason? Such actions will only serve to tighten the noose around her neck. I'm inclined to agree, I must say. Well, counsel. Yes, that's a tricky one, Dad. Isn't it? What, Ryu? Are you serious? So you didn't think that part through, but okay. Half-baked notions have no place in my courtroom, counsel. Remember that, please.
But of course, Ginny would have locked the door. It almost goes without saying, doesn't it?
It does? Because she's inside. She's fearing for her own safety, isn't it?
Well, if I was Ginny in that situation, I know I would have locked the door as quickly as I could. I mean, those two burglars had just fired a gun in her direction, hadn't they?
Precisely. Oh yes, obviously. Before the two brothers arrived, Miss Lestrade and Mr. Windybank were in the storeroom together. Now, I don't know what went on between them at the time, but at some point, Mr. Windybank must have heard the intruders breaking into his shop and left the storeroom.
Intruders, eh? That's us, bruv.
If your theory is correct, that would leave the accused alone in the storeroom. Yes, it would. Then, probably only moments later, the victim fled back through the storeroom door hoping to escape danger. Yup, bang! And then he collapsed, right? Hit in the back by the bullet, Mr. Windybank fell to the floor where he was, just inside the storeroom. And what we have to ask ourselves now is, what would a defendant have done in that moment?
I see where you're going with this.
Outside the storeroom was a terrifying killer who had just murdered Mr. Windybank. As soon as that thought struck Miss Lestrade, she slammed the door shut and locked it, in order to save her own life.
Oh, but I mean, we ain't the ones who done it. We ain't, Guff, we ain't. You gotta believe us. I mean, come on, we never shoot no one.
Oh, there's a lot of mysteries to still be solved here, right? if she successfully did that, how did the gun appear on her side? How did she get knocked out and everything? So something is definitely not right here.
That's blatantly untrue. I know for a fact that you would.
Because before my own eyes, you shot Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
There is only one logical conclusion here. Mr. and Mr. Skulkin, you brothers had every opportunity to have been the true perpetrators of Mr. Windibank's murder.
Yep. This is going to be interesting.
Where does this leave us? You mean to say it wasn't the pickpocket who shot the pawnbroker after all? I should have known it was those three brothers. They look as shady as a dense forest.
Three brothers. Oh no.
That's amazing, Bruno.
Sorry.
That's amazing, Bruno. Other members of the jury seem to be firmly on your side now.
I know. First time ever. And probably the last. Aww.
Well, I think you've done it. Surely they have to give a verdict of not.
An admirable effort, my learned friend.
What's this now?
He's laughing? I have never seen Van Zieks laugh before. I'm scared. I'm actually scared. Oh. You find the situation amusing, Lord Van Zieks? I myself find the defense's argument most persuasive. More wine. Okay, that's a cue to drink water. I dare say. Such chicanery is the bread and butter of the street performers in your provincial eastern nation. I don't know whether I pronounced that word right. Chicanery? 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 What? I don't know. Who knows? But such blatantly malicious conjuring tricks amount to nothing more than inexcusable pettifoggery here.
What?
The hypothesis you put forward so ostensibly credibly cannot and will not stand. Because, you see, it contains a fatal flaw. I think he's going to talk about the gun and why she's knocked out. Let's see.
A fatal flaw?
Do you mean to tell me that you're unaware of your logic's failing? I say, Lord Van Zieks. Might be an idea to explain this body conjuring trick or whatever it is to the troops on the ground, huh? The fatal flaw in my learned friend's argument is really very simple to understand. Assuming you're not too dim-witted to count bullets.
Count bullet?
Oh, because they fired... Only one shot was fired from the gun that they were supposedly using, right? By George, count bullets?
Oh dear.
Yes, I think Iris already caught on to it.
He noticed then.
Huh? What's everyone talking about? Oh, Ryu, I'm sorry. Counsel.
Yes, sir?
Oh, wow. Tell the court, how many bullets were found at the scene of the crime?
Two bullets.
Correct. The first, that which hit the victim in the back, ending his life. And the second, that which struck the detective, Mr. Sherlock Holmes, on his arrival at the scene. Indeed. The defense presented a picture showing the damage caused by the second bullet earlier in the proceedings. Yep, that bullet there. The bullet which injured Mr. Holmes appears to have passed through his body to strike the calendar. Your lordship's understanding is correct. Furthermore, we know there are two firearms involved in the incident. The revolver belonging to the victim, Mr. Windibank, and the Skulkin brothers' revolver. The evidence shows that a single bullet was fired from each gun.
Yes, indeed it does. A single bullet from each.
Yep, so it seems as though something is a bit strange here, isn't it? Because if the number of bullets being fired and the guns involved don't seem to match up from what Ryu mentioned, so Now then, my learned friend, you yourself told the court only moments ago that these two brothers shot Mr. Herlock Sholmes right before your eyes.
Yes, I did. Oh my goodness, I think you'll find that if the single bullet that was fired from the brother's gun hit Mr. Sholmes, it means Windybank not shot by same gun. Stop. Only one bullet. Stop.
Yep. Exactly. Yes, this Nipponese street performer presented an ostensibly credible argument. However, it was never anything more than a diversionary trick with no hope of standing up to scrutiny.
Aww. Oh no, Ryu. Order, order, order.
Oh bye! Pray forgive the discourtesy of flinging the dregs of this haloed nectar into the public gallery, who is making way too much noise, so I had to shut them up by crashing the bottle into the gallery. Never mind.
Lord Van Six.
But this court needs to open its eyes. The accused, Miss Gina Lestrade, is no ordinary little girl. Despite her young years, she can, regrettably, no longer be described as a juvenile. No, the person in the dock is far from a law-abiding citizen. She has a past riddled with criminal conduct. Oh no, are we going to start bringing that now? This is bad. The truth is, the accused broke into the pawnbrokery on the night in question with loathsome intent. Oh, as we can see beyond doubt in this print which depicts her threatening the victim with a murder weapon. Oh, the metal disc. And I have here in my possession one more piece of evidence the prosecution wishes to present. Yeah, this piece of evidence that we never really examined in particular, right?
The disc.
I'll be taking that whatever it is of McGilda's down to the yard, thank you very much.
No, don't give it to him. It's mine, that is, mine.
Yeah, and then they kind of had a bit of a scuffle here. I'm sorry, miss, but anything belonging to McGilda has to be taken in as evidence now.
Yes, that music box disc. McGilda's music box disc.
The very day before the hateful murder of Mr. Windybank, the accused attempted to make off with this article which clearly doesn't belong to her. And with none of the subtlety of a pickpocket, I might add, but by brute force and brazen impudence.
Good gracious!
Make no mistake, any sympathy for the accused on account of her years is misguided and dangerous. There are no depths to which this girl would not stoop if pushed, no crime she would not commit. The court forgets that fact at its peril. Ooh, Van Six, harsh words, but I mean, technically not wrong. Ultimately he's the prosecution, right? So he is painting Gina in a very bad light, clearly because it would help his case. And truthfully, Gina has done quite a lot of questionable things. So it is definitely not helping our case. So this is gonna be a headache now.
I see. I think it would be prudent to take this music box disc into evidence, counsel, as a grim testament to the defendant's character.
Lord Van Six, Inspector Gregson? What? Yes, Inspector? We had a meeting yesterday at the yard with the prosecution service, and I think it was agreed that the disc wouldn't be used as evidence. What? What's this all about? Why is the inspector acting strangely? That's the first time he said anything to Van Zix at all. What is happening? I am unaware of any such meeting. But those were the instructions right from the top. The government bigwigs were insistent. What? Inspector, I am the prosecutor and I alone determine how to present my case. Oh yes, Van Zix. This is the character that I like of him, right? Ultimately, he is the prosecutor, he is the one like steering the wheel for his side of the case. And as a prosecutor, of course, he has the responsibility to present whatever evidence he has on his hands, right? So even if he's just told just now that, oh, the bigwigs on top say no, he's a prosecutor, is like, screw you, man, I'm gonna do it the way that I'm supposed to. And I respect that. That's great. Your warning is noted. Thank you. Why is Van Zix so hot? Very true. Agreed. Yes. The prosecution wishes to proceed with submitting this disc as evidence, my lord. Indeed, bailiff. I like that he doesn't care about outside politics, yeah. For him, it's the case that matters, right? It's not really like whatever outside influence is around him, which is great. Music box disc. A metal disc used to play music in a mechanical music box. On the reverse side is a note that reads for McGilden. The prosecution has established the accused's motive, opportunity, and baseness of character. Actually, he did like everything pretty well now. There is nothing more to add. Oh, yes. Think about... Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I await your informed decisions and rest my case. Oh no. I don't believe it. I had the jury on my side for once, for all of 5 minutes. Oh, I'm sorry, Ryu. Oh dear, it wasn't even for 5 minutes, Runo. Don't rub it in, Iris. Jeez. My lord. Oh, wonder if I may say something at this point? Proceed, Mr. Foreman. Been stumbling about in a bit of a fog up to now, if truth be told, but all of a sudden... The answer's bodily obvious to me and my men. There's only one thing for it. Oh no! Very well, the court will hear from the jury. Ladies and gentlemen, you will present your leanings as to the defendant's culpability. Oh no! To be fair, the jury hasn't really been talking that much this time around. Right, if you notice, they haven't been really doing too much. It's strange. We have a consensus among the jury, it seems. When you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth. Oh wow, this entire statement is very reminiscent of a few people, in fact, that actually said this before. Interesting. That's my line. I wrote that for Hurley. Oh. How dare he use it against us? Oh no, Iris. Calm down, Iris. Don't worry, Iris. I don't think we are finished yet. There's still more to this case than we realize. There must be, because there's one thing I'm absolutely certain of. Gina didn't shoot Mr. Windybank. That's beyond any doubt. Oh, nice. Yes, continue believing in her. Very well. We will proceed with the second summation examination of the day. Oh wow, the judge doesn't even need to ask. Ryu doesn't even need to ask now, right? The judge just knows that Ryu is going to assert his right for a summation examination, and he's just going to say, okay, go for it.
Mr. Foreman, are you and the other jurors ready? Garytap Squadron is primed and ready for action, sir. Very good. So, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will each explain on what grounds you have now determined the defendant to be guilty